Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.
Welcome to True Crimecast. I'm John. Jamie is not able to join me today. Jamie has suffered a dear loss in his family, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Jamie. But I wanted to get out here today and try to do one solo so that you all still have some content this week. And again, Jamie, our thoughts and prayers are with you, buddy. I know you'll probably listen to this to make sure I didn't screw it up too bad, but guys, Jamie is my best friend. He and I have been doing this podcast for, probably over 7 years now. And up until today, I'm the only one who's ever missed an episode. Jamie has never one time missed an episode of this show, which I think just goes to show you that, he's not feeling great. But our thoughts and prayers are with him as he and his family grieve and mourn. But, if you don't care, take a moment on our social media, or you can direct message us, send us an email, just let Jamie know you're thinking of him. It would go a long way during this time. With that being said, apologies that you only get to hear my voice today. If Jamie's your favorite, this will not be your favorite episode. But I tried to think about who I could bring in to record with me, and there's no replacement for Jamie. So I'm doing it by myself. And all that being said, if Jamie ever decides to move away or to leave True Crimecast, I think that will be the end of the show, because I don't like recording by myself. I feel lonely. I need to ask people questions. But we do want to say thank you for tuning in. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving here in a couple of days. If you are traveling, be safe and enjoy some turkey time with your family, guys. Do want to say just a reminder that we have Patreon. If you're going to be on the road quite a bit and you need to unplug from your family that's driving you crazy, and you want to pop in some ear pods and listen to us, and you've already binged everything we have, you can go to patreon.com, and we have almost 7 years worth of content available over there where you can download it, listen to it from your podcast stream, and you'll have 7 years worth of bonus episodes, one for each month. So go check out patreon.com. It's cheap, guys. It's $3 a month, and you get all that access immediately. You can binge it, listen to it. It's a lot of fun. We try to make those really good episodes for our Patreon fans. All right. I feel like all the housekeeping stuff is out of the way, so we're going to go ahead and jump into today's episode. Today's case explores the world where viral fame, family estrangement, and allegations of cult-like control all collide. So we're going to be diving into the story of the documentary that just came out on Netflix called Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. And like I said, this is a new docuseries on Netflix about the Shekinah cult, and maybe it's a cult, maybe it's not. I think that's what we're really going to dive into today and get you familiar with what's going on. So Robert Shinn is not a stranger to success or controversy. He's a former doctor who grew up in Canada, and he studied at the University of Toronto and founded the Shekinah Church in 1994. Later, he expanded Shekinah from its original location in Santa Fe Springs, California to Norwalk. Over the years, Shinn's name would become associated with both religious leadership and the entertainment industry, especially after his son, Isaiah Shinn, launched 7M Films in 2021. So 7M Films quickly became a social media powerhouse, especially within the dance community. With the pandemic limiting job opportunities for performers, 7M provided dancers with resources like makeup artists, hairstylists, and high-end filming locations. The members even appeared on shows like The Ellen DeGeneres Show and performed at the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show. The Derricks, James, and Miranda are two prominent dancers in the group, and they've appeared in various high-profile events, including the Roadhouse remake with Jake Gyllenhaal. Despite the glossy appearances and star-studded projects, something dark was brewing beneath the surface. In early 2022, Miranda Derrick's family took to social media to express their fear that Miranda was involved in a cult. They claimed that Robert Shinn and 7M Films were exerting controlling influences on Miranda and isolating her from them and encouraging her to cut ties with her loved ones. That is very much one of the components of a cult, is join us, cut off ties to everyone else in your life. And this video went viral, and other families started to come forward with very similar stories. They alleged that Shinn's organizations, again 7M Films and the Shekinah Church, were not only controlling members, but actively alienating them from their friends and family. Again, that is what cults tend to do, but let's just give them the benefit of the doubt for now and keep going on. I think the most troubling part is that former members of the Shekinah Church and 7M Films have leveled serious accusations against Shinn, claiming he engaged in coercive control, financial manipulation, and even sexual misconduct. Kylie Douglas, a former member, shared an experience that she left because she was feeling betrayed and violated. Kylie claimed that after seeking help for back pain, Shinn offered to heal her, quote unquote, but instead of offering spiritual comfort, Kylie says that he began behaving inappropriately, and she has since filed a police report accusing him of sexual battery. So this poor girl alleges that she was experiencing pain, and she went to him for some kind of help. And instead of offering, prayer or taking her to the doctor, according to her, she accused him of sexual battery. So not great if this is true. Robert Shinn, of course, has denied any wrongdoing. He asserts that Kylie and others have distorted the truth. He maintains that his accusations were completely professional, that he never initiated any inappropriate behavior. But Kylie's story is not an isolated case. It's not the only story out there. Sisters Melanie and Priscilla Lee were able to share accounts in the Dancing for the Devil docuseries that they were once part of the Shekinah Church, but what started as a welcoming faith-based community soon became something darker and much, much darker. The Lee sisters claim that the church began controlling every aspect of their lives. Members were reportedly forced to live together, attend daily services at dawn, and follow strict schedules. Their quote-unquote mentors had significant control over them and kept close tabs on their personal lives. Melanie recalls a sermon where a young woman interrupted, accusing Robert Shinn of coercing them into sexual acts under the pretense of spiritual mentorship. And Shinn reportedly justified these encounters by framing them as a spiritual guidance session and something that left a deep psychological scar on these women. So their story, or this story that we heard, is not isolated. There's a few stories out there, and they go into this on the docuseries. So definitely check it out. Melanie left the church in 2011, but her sister Priscilla stayed and continued to endure what she later described as spiritual and sexual abuse. She alleges that Robert Shinn convinced her that her physical illnesses were a result of spiritual purification. The abuse only ended when she finally found the courage to leave in 2022. Melanie and Priscilla have since spoken out, saying that they were not the only ones harmed by this man's manipulation. So the docuseries also dives into the financial side of the Shekinah Church and 7M Films. Robert and his team allegedly maintain control over members' finances, requiring dancers to hand over access to their bank accounts and taking a significant portion of their income. Could you imagine going to church and your pastor preaching a sermon saying, all right, if you want to be a member here, you're going to have to give me your username and password for all your bank accounts. First off, that's a big no, that's not happening. But then if I was, I need some accountability. So here, you can check in on my finances. But then they take it a step further and they withdraw money from my account without my authorization. Huge problem. And it's hard for me personally to wrap my mind around the fact that people would just be willing to do that. But they obviously do. So it's hard for me to put myself in their shoes because I don't know, even if my pastor, who I love dearly, asked for it, I just don't think I'm going to give it to him. According to former members, Shinn's financial reach went as far as to control who could access their own money, leaving some dancers with only a tiny fraction of their earnings. So basically that'd be like if my pastor got into my bank account, pulled money from it, and then changed the password so that I no longer have control of my money. That's just absurd. And I really cannot believe that this was able to happen. A breakdown of the financial arrangement is almost as shocking as the allegations themselves. 7M took a 20% management fee from dancers' earnings, which is fairly standard in the industry. But on top of that, another 10% went to the church, another 10% as an offering to Robert, and another 10% for additional spiritual offerings. So this would leave some dancers with less than 50% of their total income. I mean, just to be fully transparent, if you are in the Christian faith, it's pretty common practice to give 10% of your income back to the church. And that will go towards all kinds of stuff. It will go towards the pastor's salary. It will go towards mission events that your church is sponsoring. It basically will keep the lights on and keep the message going out. But this is not what's happening here. 10% of the offering does go back to the church, which is standard. Some of that goes towards their talent fees. I get that. But then an offering directly to Robert, and then another 10% for additional spiritual offerings. My goodness, the audacity this guy has. I can't imagine my pastor saying, all right, we need to give the church 10%. Okay, cool. And then another 10% to me. No, that's just not how we do things. It's disturbing to think about how much control 7M Films allegedly had over families' lives and over its members' lives, not only professionally, but also personally and financially. Many dancers in LA rely on freelance gigs, sponsorships, and brand deals to make ends meet. But according to this docuseries, even these earnings were not safe from the 7M's financial reach. For people on the outside, 7M Films and Shekinah Church might have seemed like just another faith-based organization or a management company. But for those who left, the experience was profoundly different. One former member stated in Dancing for the Devil that there was always a feeling of being watched. Members were instructed to report anyone who opposed the church, even for minor grievances. And if a member didn't follow the rules, they would face public shaming or financial consequences. One of the most shocking aspects is how Shekinah reportedly used isolation tactics, including monitoring members' internet use and requiring them to hand over social media passwords. So this is tight control. This tight control created a situation where people were cut off from their friends and families and even their own sense of identity. Melanie, for example, describes how she felt like she had lost her sister after leaving Shekinah. So yeah, man, I mean, golly, they're giving over their financial information by giving the username and passwords to like their banks or whatever. But then they're also doing it for social media. So you are giving up your entire life to be a part of this faith-based organization. So earlier when I said we'll make it through before we determine whether or not it's a cult, like it is sounding, my cult radar is definitely going off. So Melanie, she said that she lost her sister basically after leaving Shekinah. And it wasn't just Melanie and Priscilla who felt isolated. The Wilking family experienced a very similar strain when Miranda Derrick began distancing herself from them after she joined 7M. The family's Instagram video sparked intense debate and brought more scrutiny on 7M, making people question how much influence Robert Shinn and 7M had over its members. And when we get back, we're going to continue to dive into this and learn more about what's going on here at 7M and Shekinah Church. It's clear that the isolation took a very significant toll on these relationships. In one of the most emotional moments of the series, there's a gentleman named Nick Riano. His mother, Migdalia, shared how she felt a mother's instinct that her son was being mistreated. During a very brief visit after just a couple of months without contact, she recalls feeling that Nick was unhappy, but was too afraid to speak openly about what was causing this. Former Shekinah and 7M members alleged that Shinn encouraged members to alienate family and friends, even advising members to attend family gatherings only to maintain the appearance of normalcy. By slowly distancing members from the outside relationships, the organization created a situation where members felt entirely dependent on Shekinah Church and 7M. Even after leaving, former members found it challenging to recover their lives. Melanie Lee shared how, after years away, it took her months to rebuild trust with her own sister. Former dancers Kalia Gray and Kevin Davis were also part of a lawsuit alleging that Shinn and 7M had manipulated them financially, withholding income and controlling their brand deals. But as they prepared for the case, Shinn reportedly filed a defamation suit against them. So if that's not enough, Robert Shinn has a history of facing lawsuits. So let's go into some of those. Back in 2009, a woman named Lydia Chung sued the Shekinah Church, claiming that Shinn used intimidation tactics to control her finances and convinced her to give $3.8 million to the church. Her suit, however, was not successful, but it does go to show that there is a long pattern of financial complaints. 2 years after that, Jung Hee Lee, a former church member, took her case to the California Labor Board, alleging labor violations. And the board there in this situation did award her over $9,000 in unpaid wages and damages. So basically, he was using June as free labor, not paying her for all the time and effort she was putting in. The legal battles were ongoing with Robert Shinn, and he was filing lawsuits against bloggers, social media influencers, and accusing them all of defamation. This seems to be a part of the broader strategy to discredit anyone who challenges him or raises questions about the Shekinah Church or 7M. But these lawsuits only highlight the severity of the allegations against Shinn and his organizations. And with the release of Dancing for the Devil, the fallout has intensified. In June of this year, 2024, Miranda Derrick posted on Instagram saying that she and her husband now felt physically unsafe due to the backlash that comes from making this series. According to her, they've received hate mail. They've received death threats and even been followed. She pointed out how the series hadn't mended her relationships with her family. In fact, it has really driven a deeper wedge between them. Miranda's situation is heart-wrenching, but it speaks to the larger issue of manipulation and control. Miranda has denied her family's accusations, insisting that her estrangement wasn't due to any coercion from Robert, the church, or 7M. However, Dancing for the Devil raises significant questions about the lengths to which Robert Shinn and his organizations allegedly go to maintain control. So what stands out here to me is the level of psychological manipulation and control alleged by so many former members. If these claims are true, 7M Films and the Shekinah Church are more than just a TikTok following. They're more than just a TikTok business. It would seem that if these are true, then we do definitely have a cult influence here. These TikTok based talent agencies or religious communities, they're organizations that allegedly prey on vulnerable individuals using isolation and financial manipulation to maintain dominance. And it's awful. In Dancing for the Devil, the people who came forward shared stories of exploitation, broken relationships, and trauma. They exposed a darker side of internet fame and the influencer culture, where people are treated as commodities for profit. And while Robert Shinn denies all these accusations, the personal testimony shared in this series will leave a lasting impact. So, man, Jamie and I do this show. We enjoy true crime, and I don't know, we love the family that we've built, the true crime community. But if I'm being honest, I mean, everybody who does this wants the fame, and hopefully, one day we'll break wide open and we'll be like the biggest true crime true crime podcast out there. But what lengths are we willing to go? Well, Jamie and I are hopefully pretty grounded dudes. We're not going to join a cult in order to boost our followings, but some people need this in their life. And I say need with quotation marks. They need the fame. They need the followers. They need the cash, that they're willing to just hand over all of this stuff from their lives to this church in hopes of making it big. Man, it's really just so sad when you sit and think about what is going on in their lives that would allow them to make this choice. And I don't think they just make it, freely. I think they're manipulated into making it. Whether these accusations will lead to criminal charges remains to be seen. That's really the question out there, because as of yet, there's no lawsuits that have stuck. But as for now, the allegations and ongoing legal battles will keep the spotlight firmly on Robert Shinn, 7M Films, and the Shekinah Church. For now, Dancing with the Devil is sparking discussions about the intersection of religion, social media, fame, and manipulation. And it's a good reminder that sometimes the people we see smiling and dancing on TikTok are not happy, and they are facing serious challenges behind the scenes. It's a very complex, deeply troubling story with no clear answers. But one thing's for sure, Dancing for the Devil has given a voice to those who felt silenced for so long by this man, by this organization, and by this quote unquote church. And it's revealing the lengths that some people will go for control. And dude, it's so sad that one man can have this much influence and power and seem to go completely, without any kind of consequences. And anytime that there are issues that are brought up, it's quickly dismissed. So I hope that this docuseries on Netflix will just point out the issues. It will be a spotlight so that other people can see just how big of a problem that this man, this organization, this church / cult really is. So what do you guys think? First off, have you ever heard of this? I certainly have not until it was brought up to Jamie and I, and then we started on a TikTok rabbit hole and started learning more and more about it, and then watching the series. So are you even aware this is going on? Did you know that this was something that you would see probably every day on TikTok or other social media, and had no idea that the people involved in some of these videos with, like I said earlier, the smiling faces and the dances where you just seem like everybody's having a good time. Did you know that some of those may have been kind of they're against their will in a cult where they were being manipulated, they were being taken advantage of physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially? Because I sure didn't. I had no idea. And now, after I have become more aware of this, when I see a video on TikTok where it's people I don't know dancing and having a good time. I wonder, are they there because they want to be? It's a sad world we live in, and ignorance really is bliss, right? Like if you didn't know about it, you could just scroll, think people are having a good time, and then just keep on scrolling. But it's not the case anymore once you're made aware of it. So our thoughts and prayers go out to all of those that are currently involved in this, that they will see the light and find a way out. Again, praying for all those who have left and are still dealing with the trauma and the results of that. So hopefully they can get the help and healing they need. And I hope that one day this guy will be shut down, that if all these accusations are true, this will cease to exist, and these people can find peace that they deserve. This is a shorter episode today, really, because I didn't have my buddy here with me today to bounce ideas off of. I'm looking at an empty chair over there, and I'd love to hear what he has to think, but he's not here for me to talk about that. But hopefully on our Patreon episode coming up, he and I can maybe dig into this one just a little bit more so that you can hear his thoughts and feedback on the case, because he's really into it. He's really into this case, and I know you'd love to hear from him. Like I said, shoot him a message. He'll be back. And, doing this case today solo, it was different and it was challenging, maybe a little fun to do something different, but I do have a deeper appreciation for Jamie, and, can't wait to see him back soon. The True Crime to Go episodes this week will be only me. And I make it very clear Jamie's gone because of a death in his family, and he'll be back soon. But guys, we love you. We thank you. We could not do this show without you. Jamie is the one who reads ratings and reviews way more than I do. So if you were to leave a rating and a review, 5 stars, of course, telling him how much you would enjoy the episodes more if he were on every one of them, I'm sure he would really get a kick out of that. And those help us so much. They help tremendously. People find our podcast if they've never heard of us before because of those ratings and reviews. It drives up our name on the list of shows to check out. So that's enough housekeeping for me, guys. Jamie will be back next week. I appreciate you sticking around this far. If you're still here, I love you. And until next crime, this has been True Crimecast.
You've listened to True Crimecast, distributed by Stoveleg Media. Check out stoveleg.com to find out more about your hosts and to find other podcasts to listen to. Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.